This is Geometry Lesson 9.3, and we're going to talk about two special right triangles. So the first one is the isosceles right triangle. So this is what happens when you have a triangle with two congruent sides. So we've been talking about our right triangles and the sides of them in terms of A, B, C, short, medium, long. And in this case, we're going to have two equal pieces, both A's, and then a longer hypotenuse that we'll still label C. If you have an isosceles right triangle and you want to calculate the length of the hypotenuse, you can simply do A times the square root of 2. You could still do it the long way, where you would have to square both sides, add them together, and square root them, but this shortcut gets you that answer a little bit faster. So we could also work this formula backwards and say I wanted to get the length of the short leg. I would do the exact same thing, but I would divide instead of multiply. The 30, 60, 90 triangle is going to have a short, medium, long, but we're going to specifically have a 30-degree angle, a 60-degree angle, and obviously already the 90-degree angle. And we're going to go short. Oops, that's not my short. We're going to have short, medium, and long. So if I wanted to get the length of the longer leg, I would take the short leg and multiply it by the square root of 3. If I wanted to get the hypotenuse, I would take the short leg and just double it. I can work these formulas backwards. If I needed to get the short given the long, I would divide. And if I needed to get the short given the hypotenuse, I would divide. So forwards and backwards. So I think this lesson is very confusing because there's so many different possibilities and you're just kind of memorizing different formulas rather than using the Pythagorean theorem. But if you identify what you're trying to find and then identify the right formula, it's not too bad. So my first one here is an isosceles right triangle. I know it's isosceles because if I have 45 degrees in one corner, obviously my 90, I would need 45 more degrees to finish that off. It's a 45, 45, 90 triangle. That tells me automatically that these two are the same length. So I already know that x is 2. I could do the regular Pythagorean theorem, 2 squared plus 2 squared, square root it, but I'm going to try using my formulas. I'm going to label my short sides as A, my long side as my hypotenuse as C. So if I need to get C, my formula up above says take my short side and multiply it by the square root of 2. So I'm going to do 2 times the square root of 2 to get me the answer for my hypotenuse. Handy dandy calculator, 2 times the square root of 2 is 2.8. Letter B is another isosceles right triangle. I know my C side is 4, and I don't know my A sides. So if I need to get my A, I would take my C side and divide it by the square root of 2. So I'm going to do 4 divided by the square root of 2. And coincidentally, it's the same answer. But now I know that these are now both 2.8. My next two examples are 30, 60, 90 triangles. I'm going to label them short, medium, and long. A, B, and C. I need to find B and I need to find A. Now based on the formulas, I don't have a way to get B unless I know A. So I have to do A first. To get A, I'm going to take my hypotenuse and divide it by 2. This is my formula from up top. But that's pretty easy. 10 divided by 2 tells me that my short side is 5. To get my B side, I'm going to take my A side and divide it by the square root of 3. So that'll be 5 divided by the square root of 3. And let's go to the calculator for that one. And that comes out as 2. I really like that answer apparently in this worksheet. 2.9 if we round that one. That's not right. Try again. Times the square root of 3. So that would be 5 times the square root of 3, which is 8 something, but let's use this. 5 times the square root of 3. 8.7 if we round that. Okay, that sounds better. My last example is a 30, 60, 90. I see a 30 in this corner, so I'm going to go short, medium, and long. I have formulas to find A given B. I don't have any formulas to find C until I know A, so I'm going to start with A. To get A, we're going to take our B side and divide it by the square root of 3. This is the formula I accidentally used last time. So we're going to take our B side, divide it by the square root of 3. And that gives us 6.4 if we round it. Now to get our C side, given our A side, all we have to do is double it. So that'll be 6.4 times 2, which should be 12.8. So, lots of formulas, but label your sides, pick the right formula, and it really is just plugging in the right numbers to the right formulas. Good luck on the exercises, and please let me know if you have any questions.